So, because the first recording did not actually record the audio of my, I don't know why I didn't record the audio, but now it should record the audio. So what I'm going to do is, and I did more programming, so, I'm going to explain the rest of this. I kind of did some debugging, and, one of the bugs did not seem to work, but I found a workaround. So I'm going to explain my code here and explain. So first thing, I'm going to show you what it does. So here we have a male noun, because it's the das, and the noun, quadrat. Das Quadrat, that's the square. What is its plural? I think the plural is still das Quadrat, or it's quadrate. I pardon my horrible pronunciation, but yeah, di quadrate. And then, like, what is it in English? It's a square. And we next. That's not supposed to say null. That means I have shrunk. The shrunk has a it has it. I don't know why that became null. So der Blitz, the lightning, Blitzy, the Jockey. I think it's still the Jockey or Jackin. Yeah. But as you can see, the masculine nouns are blue, the feminine nouns are red, and the neutral nouns are green. Obviously, this has nothing to do with actual gender, because that's bullshit. But you know, the color combination due to synesthesia stuff will trigger that association and help me remember the gender of the noun easier. So what this code basically does is that first we load the CSV into there, and I showed you that already. This is the CSV. So this is a CSV for nouns. And what the CSV basically says is that I have the gender of the noun, where 1 is das, 2 is der, and 3 is die. And I will explain why I didn't type das, der, and die later on. Then you have the singular form of the noun, the plural of the noun, because it's not as easy as in English. It's all over the place, so you can memorize them separately. And the translation. And right now, I'm in the process of adding more nouns, but there are 54 nouns in there. And most of them are either super generic stuff or things that are like really specific to me. So I basically in void setup you set that up once, and first you define a table outside the code so that you can hold it, and one instance of the class of the word, and then an array to hold all the class objects. So basically you're taking each row from the CSV and turning it into a class object. technically, if you're doing this, technically this would be, you could do this in C, because all you need to do is just do that into a struct. But you couldn't do the more complex things like adding the methods in there. You would have to do that outside the code via function. I just realized the struct is basically like the constructor of a class. Anyways, so basically you go through the process of loading the table, and for the table row for every table row in table.rows, because you have the table, you get the integer, gender is an integer in this case, because for some reason it wasn't working when it was a string. A particular if statement was not working with the string. So you also get the strings from the singular column, the plural column, the English column as well, and then you add a new instance of the class when that happens. I'll explain the class later. And then what you basically do is that you get a random vocabulary word from the table. So you get from the array. You get a random vocabulary word from the array. Then in draw, simple, make the background black, no fill. You want the stroke to be white, and the stroke weight to be 4, so it kind of shows up. These are just basically drawing the outlines, and these are just putting the text there at the bottom. And this is the one that's kind of weird, and I'll explain that now, I guess. So instead of testing whether gender equals DOS just there, I had to put gender equals 1, put it as an integer, because for some weird reason, when it was directly if gender equals DOS, if gender equals D, if gender equals dir, it did not work. I could not figure out why, because clearly it understands that. I know that the CSV contains Unicode, because it has to account for the umlauts and the set. But the fact that it didn't work just confounds me, because I don't understand why it doesn't, because the logic is sound, and I spent like an hour trying to debug that, and I still can't figure it out. So basically, mouse X and mouse Y work on touchscreens, but the way to register a press is to use mouse released. And right now, all you need to do is just test whether the mouse was last, if you tapped within that rectangle last. And if you tapped within that rectangle last, you activate these Boolean values. If it's the singular pressed, if it's the wait, what? These should be PP. I don't know how it's working, even though, see, that should say PP. Let me see if it still works. I don't know how that worked before. So it just basically says is if you clicked here, that means that you clicked this button. So it just passed this singular, plural in English, saying that you press these things into this method. So if it's singular, then just display the singular form. If it's plural, then just display the plural form. If it's pressed English, then display the English form. And if mouse released, then this is saying that if I tapped it and released it, whoops, if I tapped it and released it, that means that I tapped the next button, and I want to get the word. I'm going to get a new word from the array. So that's basically this one. This class is pretty simple, and so you have das Verb, Verb, that's tissue, plural is the same, die Verb, das Klassenzimmer, that's classroom, die Klassenzimmer, no, die Klassenraum, yeah, das Auto, die Autos, that's a car. Here's a red one. You get the point. However, that didn't stop there. This is still a work in progress. Basically, I want to develop another category for adjectives. Adjectives and adverbs. I want to have a category for adjectives and adverbs. And then finally a category for German expressions and curses, so that you know it works. But the verbs was much harder, because even if you just take a look at the CSV for that, just each one, there's 14 columns per word. There's the infinitive, the 7 forms per pronoun, and then the 6 forms for English. And I've included a y'all column so that it differentiates in the translation between du and ihr, because English does not have an official second person plural, and as such, that's why I believe that y'all should be not slang, it should be standard American English, because, or even use whichever, just some form for the second person plural, so that it's not as difficult for non-English speakers to realize, oh my god, this English doesn't have second person plural. It's so stupid in my opinion. Anyways, language aside, I haven't added that many verbs in here. Initially, I was going to make this just an irregular verbs list, but then I realized, wait a minute, I might as well add the other verbs in there so that I can memorize. Like, I know that doesn't means travel, but like, what if I had some other word, like, I don't know what the German word for walk is. It's probably a regular verb, but I need to memorize what that means, so that it'd be in this list, and I could do that. So basically that's the structure of the CSV, and this basically just does the exact same thing as the nouns list does, but it's a bit more complicated. I mean, it has the same loading the table and getting it into an array. That's the same. The buttons are the same. They work the same. Except we have one that has a button press equals 1. that should say button press equals true. I coded this when I was tired. But equals 1 equals true is the same thing. Oh wait, this is an int. That's why it equals 1. I don't know why I didn't make that a boolean. But anyway, so this is the same thing. Just the same thing. There's the first one out there. Basically has the same logic as the nouns, but here it's a little bit more complicated. So this just is testing. That's why it's a private thing. It's just, so if I well, I should show you this first. So this isn't as colorful. So koche. And it's like cook. Sie kochen. I'll get back to the infinitive. Sie kochen. That's I cook, but that's not she. They cook. That's they cook. And then the conjugation is kochen. I have to still code this so that you don't have to click the infinitive to go back to getting to the infinitive for this one. But sie es cooked. Yeah. So once you're done practicing that verb, you can hit next. Sie es ist. I'm going to do the next pronoun. Ihr. Yeah, it's just they're saying it that. Ihr seid. And when you're done that, ihr reist. And y'all travel. So basically, this is a lot more complex logic. Maybe some of this I don't even need. Maybe some of this logic I could simplify, but I'm too lazy to simplify it. So this basically says, do I still have the infinitive displayed up there? No, I don't. Oh yeah, this is the word infinitive, and that's the button that you press to get back to the. Technically, you can press anywhere in the upper half, and it'll get back to it. So a lot of these width and height things, I actually kind of got confused because my phone is actually it's a 1:2 ratio. So like, I'm not 100% sure if this will work on another phone and look right, because I think all my width and heights are correct, but there was a lot of messing around, and I don't know if on a non 1:2 display if it'll work. So this says that if so this just basically says that if if you didn't conjugate it but that button is pressed, then show the infinitives. If it's pressed, then show the conjugated form. If the English pressed is true, then show the English translation of it. So that's basically what it is. And the next logic is in here, where it just gets the the button. Oh yeah, that's why button press isn't in because that just gets you a random number between 1 and 8. For some reason, I needed it to be 8 because I think the way that int works is that you'll never get the ceiling of this. So even if it's like 7.9, it'll drop off the float, not round up, it'll just drop off the float, so it'll get 7. That's probably why there's never a situation where that gets to a blank screen. because as you can see, there's no situation where 8 comes up. Yeah, that's basically this part of the code. And so my goal is to work on this further, and basically I might create a specific app for verbs once I learn the different tenses, so that then this CSV, I would have to create, I wish I could do like some sort of tensor or something with the CSV, because otherwise I'm going to have, because technically each verb would need a grid. I'm going to have to figure out how to create tensors in CSVs in order to and not just that, I would have to figure out how to get processing to read a tensor CSV because each verb would take up 2 things because of all the different tenses. But if it's only like past, present, and future, it probably could deal with 30 columns, but I would remove the English translations. But yeah, that's the that's basically my plan for this project. It's like half a programming project and more that I genuinely just want some sort of learning software for German that fits my needs, and there's no better way for me to use a software that fits my needs than make it myself. And because I have the ability to make it myself, then why don't I? Like, it's just a couple of days worth of coding to make. This just took 2 days to make, and today was just debugging more than coding anything. Debugging and adding some more verbs. Like the hardest part of this project is adding the verbs and figuring out which verbs that I need and which ones that I don't. Same with the nouns. But yeah, if I do end up making this a full-fledged app, I might put this on the Play Store. I'm not 100% sure about that. Like, my only hesitation would be that I would need a native German speaker to brute force check every possible scenario and see that everything is correct. And they would need to look at 1,000 different verbs and whatnot, and that too, I would have to figure out what do people need. Like, I put a tesseract. I put a tetrahedron in there because that word matters to me, but that's not going to matter to anybody else. These words are words that matter to me. So So, this is going to be an interesting project.